One by one and soul by soul, all the world to every nation. One by one and soul by soul, to all the world to every nation. One by one and soul by soul, to all the world to every nation. One by one and soul by soul, to all the world to every nation. Moja, moja, yeah, 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 yeah. Moja, moja. Yeah, 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 yeah. It started in Jerusalem with power God revealed His plan that He would reconcile the world with every nation He would stand. And through His Son and by His grace, His love for all would once erase. And Jesus Christ would save the world. We preach His message still this day. And now He chose for us to stand and bring to life His awesome plan. We're going one by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. One by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. One by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. One by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. Moja, moja, yeah, 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 yeah. Moja, moja, yeah, 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 yeah. Receive our gift, the seeds of life, the tears that God will bring to life. The Son He gave the sacrifice to save the world. He paid the price. The blood and tears, the love of Christ, the cross He bore that guides our life. The revolution has begun to spread His calling one by one, and now He chose for us to stand and bring to life His awesome plan. We're going one by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. One by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. One by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. One by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. Moja, moja, yeah, 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 yeah. Moja, moja, yeah, 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 yeah. The restoration paved the way to fuel our fire this modern day. To make disciples under Christ, we're reaching out to share our lives. From Boston to Los Angeles, God's Spirit moved from east to west. From China to South Africa, through Paris, Moscow, India. The hand of God moves through the land to bring to life His awesome plan. We're going one by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. One by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. One by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. One by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. Moja, moja, yeah, 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 yeah. Moja, moja, yeah, 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 yeah. The time is now to reach the world through love and light, to do God's word. And time is still, we hold our hands through struggles, fears, and sinful land. Through persecution, pressing on, the blood we shed must go on. With tears and grief still all are one, the harder work has just begun. The hand of God moves through the land to bring to life His awesome plan. We're going one by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. One by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation. One by one and soul by soul to all the world, to every nation.
Welcome back to our fourth and final class. We hope tonight is a little bit of fun for you and a way to reflect, and that you'll have a little extra time in your discussion groups.
Thank you again for joining us. It's been a fun 4-part series. Do want to let you know that we do plan to have a more extensive parenting program as we get deeper into the year. Obviously, this has been a bit of a different time for everybody, but hopefully these 4 classes have helped you get through a difficult time. We're going to be talking about really tonight, and it's kind of a different format, but we wanted to talk about making memories and really memory markers. What are the stories that we can tell? And so, reading from Joshua in chapter 4, of course, the Israelites have paid their dues for their lack of faith. They've wandered for 40 years in the wilderness. It's been a challenge to them, and we come to Joshua chapter 4, and they're about to cross the Jordan River. And so it says in verse 4, Joshua called together the 12 men that he had appointed from the Israelites, one from each tribe, and he said to them, "Go over before the ark of the Lord your God into the middle of the Jordan. Each of you is to take up a stone on his shoulder according to the number of the tribes of Israelites, to serve as a sign among you. In the future," here it is, "when your children ask you, 'What do these stones mean?' tell them that the flow of the Jordan was cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord when it crossed the Jordan. The waters of the Jordan were cut off. These stones are to be a memorial to the people of Israel forever." God is basically saying, put those stones down so we can tell the story. Right. So your kids, when they come upon it, when they're older, even when they have kids, it'll be a memory marker to them. Yeah. And really, we need to have that in our families as well. We need to build memories and have memory markers, because that really helps us build our faith, and it also helps our children to keep moving ahead. It's important because we as parents are often focused on the need to provide, to protect, to feed, to clothe, to educate. We often focus on all those sort of things, and then we think, okay, we're going to do all the hard stuff, and then we're going to just aim for pleasure. We're going to take a big vacation or have this big thing that we're all looking forward to. And, sometimes when we do that, we end up getting a little disappointed. My encouragement to you at the start is don't live for pleasure with your family. Don't live for pleasure. Look instead for the memories. I think memories are sustaining, and they really are what builds our faith.
I think with that, we've got to realize it's a lot of memories go when things go wrong.
Yeah.
And, what do we want our family to be known for? So Walter and I, on one of our 25th anniversary, the kids met us. They were adults, and we all met in Mexico, and a typhoon hit. And we lost a rental car. And I still remember Walter at the beginning of the trip saying, "I'm going to be bulletproof no matter what happens." And before we could get on the airplane, he actually had to buy that car. But we were just all laughing. It was crazy. There are floods. We can let things sort of destroy it, or we can get stressed out when things go wrong. Things just go wrong.
Yep.
And we have to say, hey, what am I known for? What's the atmosphere in our family? Or maybe the kids aren't cooperating. And we have to just say, no, I'm going to have fun anyway. I'm the Proverbs 31 woman. I laugh at the days to come no matter what. And it doesn't have to be extravagant. It's playing cards or playing a wiffle ball game. Or one of my favorite birthdays was playing kickball at Ardmore Park, bring your own dinner. And my dad, seeing the grandkids play kickball with their great granddad and all of us running around and then throwing the ball at him. And it was just laughter, but it's simple, it's fun, it's building the memories. And in crisis, we're all living in a crisis right now. But I remember when Brandon was in the hospital with back surgery, the only way we could get through it and to keep the joy is we'd watch sports bloopers. He'd wake up in the middle of the night in pain, and we'd watch sports bloopers, and we'd laugh and laugh and laugh. And we were known as the room where there was laughter.
Yep.
So in it, with the hard times, we've got to say, okay, I'm going to make memories out of this, and I want to be remembered for it. And I want to make it so that they have fun stories to tell and help them make their memories.
I think that we sometimes, as Kim said, we think that the big events are going to be what build the memories. And, that trip to Mexico, we call it the typhoon vacation, was was really, it was what happened. It was the storm that made the memories. It wasn't the trip. And I think we've got to make sure that it's our family that's building the memory. You know, we live in a very capitalistic society, and every company's marketing a trip you can take and the trip of your dreams, and the brochures are impressive and the sunsets and this, that, and the other. We think if I buy into this, we'll have great memories. And, you know, sometimes those trips don't really live up to the expectation. You've spent a lot of money, and yet, you know, you let somebody else try to build the memories for you. You know, it's a little bit like when we do pre-marriage counseling. There's usually the talk with the brother about the honeymoon, and there's the discussion about, okay, bro, on this honeymoon, where are you going? And maybe they're going to a resort. And my question is, have you bought a package deal for your honeymoon? And I always hope they say no, because if you buy some package on a honeymoon, then you need to meet in the lobby at 8 o'clock with a group of 10 others to go see the ruins, or you're going jet skiing at noon, or you're going to do this or that. And basically what you're saying is, I'm letting somebody else dictate my schedule, and I'm hoping they're going to build the memories for us. You know, to me, it's a better honeymoon to let it play out, to just kind of take it as it comes. And the same is true with our family. Sometimes it's the less adventurous or the less extravagant that build the memories. We used to go camping up in New Hampshire, and it was a rustic campsite with rough facilities, but it had this fantastic waterfall. And we would go there with the kids in the morning, and we would stay till the late afternoon just at this waterfall, and the dog was with us. And we would just spend all day being together, laughing and swimming and getting sun, and didn't cost us hardly anything to be there. And I used to go away thinking this was so much better than hiring onto some extravagant plan. Certainly there's room for those big trips, but really memories don't have to cost you a lot of money.
Well, and I think with that, as far as time and storytelling and taking time for it, we've got to be lighthearted about it.
Yeah.
Our kids will say what they remember about us. Again, after getting ready for my dad's memorial service, and they were doing a video about what do you remember Papa said, but then they got into what do you remember that Mom said? And they're like, get your drink, because before we sit down to dinner, it was always, I would say, get your drink and take your things up to your room. And Walter is do the hard things first. But it's easy to be offended by our kids and them kind of mocking us a little bit, but we've got to not take ourselves too seriously. I'm like, wow, that's not really the most profound things to be remembered for, but that's us. And yep, get your drink and take your things up to your room with me. But we've got to be okay with it when they talk about it, and that we just have a light-hearted spirit about the life that we live together. Another funny night was we used to have family devotionals, and we had a coup one night that the kids said, okay, Dad, these are really boring, and we don't want to do these anymore.
And my feelings were hurt for about 10 minutes. I was like, oh, I've been pouring myself into these long lessons and this and that. And the kids were like, Dad, we go to church. We're there. We're in the youth ministry. We hear all the lessons. So anyway.
He then decided, and he changed it, that it became a game. And at night, when we had our family devotionals once a week, he would read a passage, and we could pick 5, 10, and 15-point questions. And we all paid attention, and we all enjoyed it and had a great time. But just allow the memories to come. Get the atmosphere in your house. Lighten it up. I know yesterday our grandkids came by, and we had both had a bad day. You know, all of the different heavy issues that we're facing, we were feeling very heavily. And it was great. It says, unless we become like little children, we won't enter the kingdom. We needed them. We needed to sit down to lunch and hear, hey, Grandpa, do magic tricks. Can you do magic tricks? Let's do it, you know, or whatever goes on. So build the memories and enjoy the time. It goes really fast.
I will also say, certainly extended family is great. Even brothers and sisters or friends being a part of your memories is great. But also just build some memories with your immediate family. Even if you're a single parent, just, you know, a simple trip together, a simple afternoon, a special place, something that, you know, I know for Maria, when she was very young, we used to get special time once a week. That was for her and I. And we had a secret place that we would go. Now it was, don't tell anybody, but it was just a juice and Java restaurant down the road. But Maria used to get in the car and put her seatbelt on. And I'd say, okay, Maria, before we pull out, look around because we got to make sure nobody's following us because we're going to our secret spot, our secret place. And she loved that was our place and that was the memory. And we would just sit there and drink fruit drinks and play checkers. And that's all it was. But it was a memory that she really enjoyed. But make sure that it's your memory with your family, your kids. It's not always good to invite everybody along for everything all the time. Sometimes the kids just want to be with your immediate family.
I think, too, when you're repeating the stories about your kids, tell the good things.
Yep.
Discipline yourself to stop saying the negative things. Don't repeat that. Good gossip is always good. Talk to your friends, even when they're not around. Say the good things about them. That just needs to be what's in our heart and what we're lifting up. Not that we ignore things or that we put our head in the sand, but they just need to know that we look at them and smile and love them, and we love our family, and we love the memories.
Yep. I would say, too, take some risks. Kim and I, when our kids were young, we took a risk one summer. We used to have a annual schools out family devo getting ready for the summer. And Kim and I talked about this, and we knew it was going to be a tough one, but we got the family together and we talked about the summer and this, that, and the other. And then I said, okay, now there's something that's going to be very different this summer. This summer, we're going to turn off the TV and not turn it back on again until the fall. And the kids, you would have thought I'd asked for them to chop off their arms. I mean, they were panicked. They're like, what? And it was a Olympic summer and the Phillies and this, that, and the other. And I love the news. And of course, the first question the kids asked, well, when we go to bed, are you and Mom turning on the TV? I said, no, this is for all of us. We're going to just stop watching the screens. And I know it's a different time now, but I'm feeling like a lot of our kids and even us, we're glued to those screens. And you may want to cut back a little bit and build some memories the other ways. Now, it was helpful that at that same Devo, after we gave them the hard news, and by the way, the first couple of days was rough, but soon they were playing outside. We didn't even mind not having the TV on, but we did say at the end of the Devo, and by the way, this summer we're also going to get a puppy, and they were all excited. So that made up the difference. But doing different things, trying some new things to build some memories is a good thing too.
You know, it's really important in our parenting that we tell stories and that we keep stories alive, and we talk about that we make the Bible come alive, and that we teach our kids. And we use, you know, one of the ways to use media, I have to say, is Saddleback.com has some great ways to tell children's stories to kids. Our kids have been using that with our grandkids. It's amazing. But we've got to tell stories, Bible stories, our life stories, our history stories. We have to do it. Our upbringing and our ancestors. What was it like? You know, it's amazing. My grandmother was on a horse and buggy, and she used to tell me about the first time she saw a car. Can you imagine? That was before internet and phones and cars. I'm like, a car was in my lifetime. But the stories are really important, and God's stories. How's God moved in your life?
I think sometimes we forget that before Scripture was formed, that much of the Word of God was communicated by oral tradition, which meant literally families would get together and they would tell the story of the Bible. They would tell God's story. And, you know, we've gotten away from that. We tend to rely on media. We tend to rely on filming everything or documenting everything or having pictures. And that's all fine. And certainly we have our share of pictures in our family. But, you know, to be able to sit down and just tell the story about your family, that's what the kids really need to hear, is not rely on a video that's been produced by a company somewhere, but really just to hear it from you directly.
You know, and even right this minute, we're writing a story. 2020 is a story for all of us. We've shared it, but it's a unique story in your home, as we've talked about. And Corona is a story, but also the racism and how you're handling it and what you're doing is a story. Make a memory out of it. Like, realize, I think sometimes we make memories and we don't know we're making them, but it's really important. And then kingdom stories. We have such amazing opportunities between camps and youth course and the church and all these things. We have amazing stories, and we need to really realize that we're writing stories.
The other thing is your kids want to hear your story as far as your relationship. For the married couples, that tell them the story about how you met, how you fell in love, celebrating your anniversaries, telling that story, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They tend to smirk or turn away or giggle or look embarrassed, but the truth of the matter is they love to hear about our relationship, and that's a story that needs to be told as well. So don't shy away from that. They need to know that your relationship is strong and that you're excited about telling that story. It's also time for us to tell new stories. To the dads that are watching, let me just say that sometimes our stories are old stories about our high school days and being the quarterback of the football team, or, things that we did a long time ago, and that's fine. But, we need to make new stories, and we need to be excited about telling those new stories and really allowing ourselves to open our eyes and see that God has done amazing things in our lives right now, today. Like Kim said, with the virus, there's new stories being written right now. There's things that you are learning and figuring out that you can share with your kids. And we encourage you to really put down those mile markers. Let me just finish by saying time is short. We are celebrating our anniversary. We are enjoying looking back on 37 years. But, our time is short. And, we realize that it's flown by. That's going to be the same with you and with your kids. And so grab onto it, document it, write the story in your mind, be willing to tell the story. When you tell the story, it really changes the atmosphere. I do believe one of the things that helps in our families is what I call the laughter gauge. If a family that really enjoys being together, that family is usually filled with laughter. Somebody's goofing around. Somebody's, acting something out or poking some fun at somebody else in a good-natured way. And, families that really enjoy each other, that enjoy the story, that have put down the mile markers, also laugh together. So I encourage you, measure how you're doing as a family with the laughter gauge. How is that coming together? It's been great to have this class series. I just want to say that it's a privilege to be able to talk about our marriage, about raising our kids, but we're not done either. And we're looking forward to the times ahead. I encourage you to really embrace the opportunity of raising your kids.
We started off talking about and just recognizing you are in a crisis and have been. We never knew when we started that it was going to start with a pandemic. That's why we started this. And it went on to all of the race crisis that's going on. And none of us know how this is going to end. But give yourself grace. You're in a crisis. And give your kids grace. This is a crazy time. This is a year like no other. And I think none that we'll ever see again. Then the next class, we talked about really seeing the truth. It's hard to see the truth about yourself. It's hard to see the truth about your kids. But pray, God will answer that prayer to really, really, really see the truth. The last class was about modeling, model parenting, model being a Christian, model. We are God in the flesh to our children. And we have to realize that's a heavy load, but that's an honor that we get to teach them what it means to be a Christian by the life we live. And then make it fun. Tonight we talked about just memory markers, make it a memory no matter what happens. You don't know how it's going to go. Make it a memory, whatever, laugh, make sure it's there. I think, the Bible promises we'll have trials, and we have trials, but we can make memories. Now we want you to call into your groups. The Sturgeons are leading a group for parents of teens. The Howrys have a group for our dual income households, and Walter and I have a group. We look forward to talking to you. We want to give you a little bit of extra time tonight. We love you. It's been great and an honor to be with all of you. Thank you.
Enjoy your summer with your kids. Love you.
Bye-bye.